POV when you're pregnant and panicking about how painful labor is going to be, but then you learn about God's brilliant design for childbirth and realize your body was designed to block pain receptors during labor. Oh, she's in for a surprise then. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that one of the options you can get when giving birth is to have painkillers literally injected into your spine. You're literally forcing a melon-sized head out of your body. God's design didn't go, you won't feel any pain. It didn't do that at all. Special thank you to my YouTube members and patrons for supporting the channel and supporting my content. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we are once again returning to r/facepalm. I don't think I really need to describe what this subreddit is. I think everybody knows what it is by now, even just from the name. So facepalm, we're gonna take a look at that today. Before we begin, I quickly wanted to mention I stream at Twitch every Thursday at 7 PM UK time. I would really appreciate it if you guys went and said hi. If you can't make it, I also have a YouTube channel where I upload the videos every week the day after, so you can go catch the streams there instead if you really wanted to. It's just more blue content. We play like Baldur's Gate and Dishonored and just whatever I'm feeling like at the time, so go check it out. It's a good time. Other than that, let's get into the subreddit, shall we? I hate that some of my favorite 90s bands became filthy communists. Cry about it. Yeah, and it's always bands that they're like, they clearly didn't ever understand the original message of those bands. Like Rage Against the Machine is a great example of one. You get conservatives that are like, Rage Against the Machine used to be a great conservative band, and now they're the machine that they're raging against. And people like Tom Morello are like, homie, we were never a conservative band. What are you on about? And it's like, it happens a lot. Like another one was the song We're Not Gonna Take It. Regularly conservatives will like use songs in like, you know, rallies and stuff, and then they'll get a cease and desist from the musicians of the songs they're using who are like, you are anti our message, we don't want you using our songs. It happens so regularly. It may surprise people to learn that I am a Twitter employee. I make $156,000 a year and have literally done nothing. Check deposits in my bank account, no one seems to know what my job is or who my boss is. See, I got hired during the total chaos of Twitter's transition. The guy who hired me and his boss and the 3 departments above mine literally vanished only days after I was hired. Now, I really hope that the person who posted this, 1, is using a VPN, 2, is using a different computer to what they work from, and 3, is using a different Twitter account to their main one, because otherwise they might get caught. But like, if you're, you know, if you're covering your tracks when you post about this, that's pretty funny, but just be careful that you don't throw away this opportunity by tweeting this, because you could lose $156,000 a year. Imagine taking a few Bible verses on human sexuality and demanding they be legislated over our entire country, yet reducing the 3,000 plus Bible verses calling for generous use of wealth that prioritizes the poor, the vulnerable, and the refugee to a private personal choice. Wow, it's almost like for conservative Christians, it was never actually about what the Bible says. It was actually just about oppressing those that they don't agree with. Isn't that a crazy concept? Who could have predicted that happening? But honestly, it was never about what the Bible actually says for those people, and we should never treat it like they actually want what it says in the Bible, okay? They're just using that as an excuse. We should not only not let them pass any of the legislations, you know, against sexuality, transgenderism, all of those things. We should refuse to let them do that for 2 reasons. 1, the theological reason being that the country isn't a theocracy. That goes for a lot of countries, UK included, but also, regardless of whether they are religious or not, they are inherently inhumane policies. So, by using the Bible as an excuse, you are admitting that the Bible is an inhumane book, and by not using the Bible as an excuse, you are admitting suggesting that you just believe in inhumane policies. Neither are good, but the Bible barely mentions these things, and they use these as like the fundamental key things that the Bible states, but then ignore everything else the Bible says that are inherently anti-capitalism, anti-conservative policies. Jesus was a flaming communist. Let's not forget that. Some Apple Vision Pro users are upset after being unable to access VR porn. Well then, like, what's even the point of getting an Apple Vision Pro? Like, I mean... Why are you even getting an Apple Vision Pro? Like, that's the whole point. You know, who's getting VR headsets for productivity in VR games? Come on now. I mean, I joke, but also there is a market to that, and like pretty much every other VR headset has catered to that market. So it is weird that like one of the most expensive consumer headsets doesn't allow you to cater to that market. I don't know. It's weird. I would never use it. I think VR porn is a bit weird, but like each to their own, you know? I mean, it is actually kind of interesting that it doesn't. I'm surprised that also no one's like modded it or done something that would enable it. They might have done, actually. I don't know. I don't have an Apple Vision Pro. Nor will I probably ever get one because it costs the same amount as my car. My aggressively Buddhist neighbor set out a Buddha statue on his front yard, and my kids see it every day. If I put a cross necklace around the statue's neck without damaging it, can I be held liable? Right. Or, hear me out, you could mind your fucking business. You could let people of different religions put out things for their religion. They put out a Buddha statue. Boo-hoo. That's their right. That's their property. I guarantee that if you are this aggressively Christian that you would consider putting a cross on someone else's Buddha statue, you've probably got paintings and shit of Jesus up. Like, let people decorate their own yard how they want to decorate it based on their religion, because crazy enough, your religion doesn't matter when it comes to someone else's decorations. Crazy. Oh, the kids can see a Buddha statue. So what? Are you saying that that's enough to convert your kids to Buddhism and that's a bad thing? First of all, that's your kid's right. But second of all, is it really faith? Is it really considered faith? Can your children really be considered devout Christians, faithful Christians, if they are not Christian out of choice and out of faith, but they are Christian because they have never ever been exposed to any other religion or ideology? That's not faith, that's just upbringing. No one can, you can't consider a child a faithful Christian if they've just never ever known anything else. That's just the only life they've ever known. I personally am all for children learning about as many religions as they like. All religions. You should teach every aspect, every religion. A child should be able to access information about all religions and ultimately atheism and agnosticism and all of those things, because it should be their choice to be the religion that they want to be. If you actively remove their ability to research any other religions, you are not letting your child be free, but more to the fact, you're not giving them a choice about their own faith. That's no longer faith. If immunity is not granted to a president, every president that leaves office will be immediately indicted by the opposing party. Without complete immunity, a president of the United States would not be able to properly function, says Donald J. Trump. Now, it's interesting that there's been over 50 presidents in the past, and not one of them has indicted the last president, but also, right, they don't need to, because they've already won. Like, if a president has already won the election, they don't need to indict the previous president because they lost the election. But it's interesting, it's just a funny little convenience that the first president to take issue with this system also happens to be the first president that tried to stage an insurrection. That's a funny little coincidence, isn't it? That's a strange one. Like, I wonder why someone who attempted to stage an insurrection after losing an election would be perhaps worried about being indicted. That's a strange one, isn't it? I wish I lived in a city where I didn't need a car. Move to to Europe. Plenty of cities you can live without owning a car. Europe sucks. It's like stepping back in time 30 years. No tech, no food, no chains, no hotels that aren't mom pop tiny. It's fine to visit, but that's about it. No tech. Oh no! All of my technology has disappeared. I no longer have a computer, camera, microphone, audio, phone, MacBook. All of it's gone. All of my technology is gone. Oh dear. Oh, that's my fault. I lived in Europe. Crazy. Also, no food. I'm overweight. We definitely have food. No chains. You mean what, like McDonald's, which we have, KFC, which we have, Popeyes, which we apparently now have, Five Guys, which we apparently now have, Taco Bell, which we have, I think we've even got Chick-fil-A. We have a lot. We have a lot of chains. I mean, obviously it varies from country to country, but those chains are chains because they're really big and because they go to other countries, you know? Does this person not realize that, like, Germany and France, some of the richest countries in the EU, are in the EU? Like, of course, the richest countries in Europe are going to have tech and food and chains. And also, hotels is a really weird one because the context here is moving there to live there. So hotels are only relevant if you're on a holiday there, because assumedly, if you're living there, you're renting or buying a house, maybe? Also, hotel chains exist and are huge. You have massive hotels all over Europe. I would know. I've traveled around Europe, even in some of the less rich countries like Mallorca and Cyprus aren't super rich, but they have pretty big hotels. It's just a really, really weird, like, completely unthought out, uneducated view. Like, yeah, you have some poor countries in Europe, but you also have some very wealthy countries in Europe. 3 years ago, I got kicked out of high school. Today, at 19 years old, I just closed on my 2.3 million Miami home. Take risks in life. This house was not purchased by them. It is currently for rent here. He is engaging in a form of advertising fraud to present himself as more successful than he is. And like, I guarantee the car he's leaning on in the picture, also a rental. He's probably not even actually renting that house. He probably doesn't even live there as a rental. And the car he's rented for one day for the picture. It's 3 years ago, I got kicked out of high school. Today, at 19, I'm lying on the internet. Take risks in life. They won't pay off. Get an education. Get an education. GB news presenter Eamon Holmes has ripped into Taylor Swift saying, "I wouldn't date her," which finally explains why she was forced to settle for a 6'4" professional athlete. Well, now it all makes sense. Of course she'd settle. Eamon Holmes is no longer on the market. Like, goddamn, that was all she was waiting for. She was waiting for Eamon Holmes. He wasn't on the market. She had to settle for a millionaire football player. And you know, that sucks for her, I guess. I really don't understand the conservatives' obsession both with Taylor Swift and with her relationship. Like, they've been being like, oh, why would he settle for her? And why would she settle for him? And neither of them are happy. But like, both of them are extremely successful in their field, extremely wealthy, and clearly very happy together. Like, I don't understand why that's a problem. I just don't get it. I don't really care about either people, but I just really don't understand the obsession with their relationships and just the obsessions with them in general that the right wing seems to have. It's bizarre. She's just living rent-free in their heads. Life hack: you never have to check out of a hotel. Just leave. Why does no one do this, including my husband? You see, it's a life hack because she's never checked out of a hotel and nothing's ever happened relating to that. Because her husband checks out of them. So of course nothing's happened because her husband has checked out of them. This isn't a life hack. You need to check out of hotels. You can get charged. Why are people stupid and why do people pretend to be authorities on things when they're not? Tucker says after visiting a Russian grocery store, he is radicalized against our leaders because Russians have it so much better than Americans. Honestly, if at this point you can look at Tucker Carlson and not realize that he is very clearly just a paid political propagandist for Russia, like that's all he is. He's being paid by Russia to make Russian propaganda, that or he's being blackmailed, one of the two. If you can't see that, you're way too far gone. But also, of course, a supermarket that has been set up for a journalist, a very popular journalist, in a place that tourists can access is going to be nice. That's its point. It's propaganda. The rest of Russia, on the other hand, not so much, because they're not designed to look nice for cameras. It's the exact same thing with the tourist areas of North Korea. We value you, your growth, and your contributions. This is a no-quit restaurant. Because we feel that many situations can be resolved, it is the policy of the restaurant that an employee cannot quit until he or she talks to a restaurant manager or area supervisor. Now, you can, and I'm gonna give you a little life hack on how you can quit really easily, because obviously, if you bring up any issues when you're saying you're quitting, they will try and force you to have these issues resolved and force you to stay. You don't have to do that, okay? When you give in your notice, when you give in the letter that states you are quitting, you can state two things. One, there were no issues with your workplace, but you are quitting anyway, at which point there is nothing for them to resolve and they cannot try and force you to resolve any issues because you have stated there are none. Or secondly, you can state that you have been given a position which pays more, and therefore, what are they gonna do? Pay you more? It's McDonald's and they're trying to prevent you from quitting. Of course they're not gonna fucking pay you more. So they cannot prevent you from leaving because the reason you are leaving is you are getting paid more. Or they might actually pay you more. Very unlikely, but if they do, you could end up getting paid more. So it's kind of a win-win. You either leave for a better paying job or you get paid more. They can't stop you from leaving for either of those two reasons because they have no solutions to either of those two reasons. Easy. And the final post. My pregnant wife and I are seriously considering getting divorced, so she'll qualify for Medicaid to pay for the birth and I can afford insurance for myself. I'm not even fucking joking. America! Yeah, that's healthcare, baby. That's what happens when you don't have universally accessible healthcare, baby. It's fucked. This is also a very real issue for people with disabilities who receive like disability payments, because you can get married to someone which technically brings your pay, like your income, above the threshold that it needs to be to get disability checks. So a lot of people with disabilities actually refuse to get married even when they've been with their partner for years because they will no longer get vital disability checks. Equally, people with disabilities will often get divorced as a similar result. Like people that develop disabilities will get divorced because they need those checks and they can't get them while married. That's fucking capitalism. When you have to divorce the person you love because it's the only way you can afford to live. What a great system the richest country in the world lives in, right? Ha, God, that's a way to end it. Whew. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. A massive, huge, giant special thanks to all of the wonderful, incredible YouTube members that do support me. It genuinely helps so much. So thank you to everybody that does support me. Genuinely. I'm still looking at possibilities for rewards, like additional rewards, like early access to videos and stuff. I will keep you guys posted on that. As usual, any suggestions for things I could do like that are welcome. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.